The fifth stage in the Cal FCP battery is completion of the Job Demands Questionnaire. This requires approximately 5 minutes. The questionnaire is designed to tie into the physical demand characteristics system used by the United States Department of Labor. This structures input from the evaluee in terms of his or her job demands. The purpose of this exercise is to provide information about the evaluee's perception of the job demands against which the performance test measures can be compared. In addition, this activity extends seated task duration. The information is not included in the disability rating, but will be useful to the treating doctor. The sixth stage in the Cal FCP battery is a test of lateral pinch strength. Using the B and L pinch gauge, key pinch is measured following the protocol endorsed by the American Society of Hand Therapists. The evaluee is required to grasp the pinch gauge using a lateral grasp with the pad of the thumb against the upper side of the gauge placed in the ridge of the gauge. The radial side of the second phalange of the index finger is placed in the groove on the bottom edge of the gauge. Practice trials are performed, followed by test trials. The evaluee completes 3 test trials with a 15-second rest interval between trials. The evaluee's dominant hand is tested first. After 1 trial is completed, the non-dominant hand is tested before the second trial on the dominant hand is undertaken. After testing has been concluded, the average of the 3 trials and the coefficient of variation can be calculated and entered on the evaluation record in the appropriate location. The coefficient of variation is the standard deviation divided by the mean, expressed as a percentage. It is an index of the variability of the person's responses. The 7th step in the Cal FCP battery is an evaluation of isometric power grip using the JMAR hand dynamometer. As with the lateral pinch test, after the evaluator conducts practice trials with the evaluee, test trials begin with the evaluee's dominant hand. The evaluee completes 3 test trials with a 15-second rest interval between trials. The evaluee's dominant hand is tested first. After the first trial is completed, the non-dominant hand is tested before the second trial on the dominant hand is undertaken. After all 3 trials have been completed, the average and coefficient of variation are calculated. The average values for both the lateral pinch test and the power grip test are compared to normative data that are provided in tables in the examiner's manual. A 5-point rating from excellent to limited across a standardized gradient is followed. The normative data are provided in terms of both gender and age groups, with 5-year age spans for each group. The 8th test in the Cal FCP battery is to evaluate the standing range of motion that the person has available to himself or herself. This measures anthropometric range of motion using the evaluee's own stature as a frame of reference. The evaluator begins each test by explaining the purpose of the test to the evaluee, and then asks the person to assume 5 different reaches, holding each reach for 15 seconds. The reaches are important because it stabilizes the person in a particular posture, and the postures become increasingly more demanding. We go from a reach to shoulder level, to a reach to eye level, and then 3 reaches to knee level. The first, a stoop, the second, a crouch, and the third, a kneel. This is an important prerequisite to the subsequent test, which is the lift capacity test. We do this in order to be assured that the evaluee is able to assume the various postures that he or she may be required to assume during the lift capacity test.
Same thing, but this time you're going to be kneeling, holding the same mirror.
Up to a 1-minute standing rest is allowed between postures and may be necessary for people who are symptomatic. If the person is not symptomatic, the evaluator can proceed at a comfortable pace.